Vancouver Island has the highest population of cougars in the world. Any way you measure the metric, population density per square kilometer, actual numbers of cougars, which is believed, by the way, to be somewhere between 600 and 800 for you nerds at any given time, we are the cougar capital of the world. Want to see a cougar, puma, mountain lion, or sometimes as they're called, panther? Then come here. In fact, on Christmas morning 2023, my next door neighbor Mike did see a cougar, up close and personal. He rang me to apologize for his colorful language at 6 a.m. I thought he'd opened a present containing a kitten, and in a way, he had. He'd opened his front door in his dressing gown to let Carl, his French bulldog, out, as was Carl's wont every morning at 6 a.m. Let that be a warning to you. Only on this morning, Christmas morning if you remember, Carl and Mike's family got a surprise, and not the kind you find under the tree, at least not Christmas trees. Opening the door, Mike saw a dark shadow, a flash of canines, and Carl dangling by the scruff of his neck from a huge Tom Cougar's jaws. The cougar looked at Mike, weighed him up, and decided Carl would go down more easily. Mike was having none of it, and grabbed his strategically placed baseball bat, there for the Bears on garbage day, by the way. He managed to get one good hit on the haunches of the cougar. The cougar merely placed the now hysterically yapping hound back on the ground and turned to look at Mike. It's at this point Mike understood he had made a mistake. His kneecaps confirmed this, and the dog chose this moment to gather up what was left of its dignity and run between Mike's legs under the dressing gown, creating an uncomfortable December chill between Mike, his dangly bits, and the large Tom Cougar, culminating in a frightening moment where Mike realized he was basically naked, facing an angry Tom who'd lost his meal. Time and testicles shrink in moments like this. Whether it was his personal hygiene or the baseball bat, the cougar apparently turned and walked off, slowly mind, not concerned that the soft pink man in the dressing gown was a serious threat. So you'd think then that being the cougar capital of the world, and the very definite presence of them in our neighborhood as attested by the frequent sharing of WhatsApp Ring doorbell shots of them lurking around, looking for deer, cats and dogs, that deer would be scarcer than hen's teeth in our neighborhood, as scarce as cats and dogs, that is. Let me pause here. As you can see, the answer is, they're not. Unfortunately, the cloven rats, as I call them, are everywhere, and tend to congregate in residential areas, in gardens, and along roads for the abundant, expensive, and exotic salad bars that naive gardeners lovingly cultivate for them. Combine that with the fact that the brush, forests, and long grass grow verdantly right up to the edge of most of the roads here, and you have little time to spot, let alone avoid, or break if a deer decides to trot out in front of you. On Vancouver Island roads, you will see all manner of flattened fauna, but deer tend to prevail. There will be a few residents of Vancouver Island who have not seen what I call road venison, those deer that blithely trot out into the path of a car or a truck and come a cropper. I'm not even talking about those who may or may not be watching where they're going while playing Candy Crush. I'm talking about people doing the speed limit and driving carefully. As you can see, it's a game of odds. I hit a deer with my truck a few months back. It survived, so it can do it again. You see, you'd think, given the fact that the skittish, poorly programmed deer would be more liable to die and not reproduce, and that therefore over time the roads would become more predictable as deer evolved into more sentient and sensible creatures, with only survivors breeding future generations of more road-aware fawns. And with all of those cougars, well, we'd be just about as safe as you can be with deer on the roads. But I'm afraid Darwin was wrong. Despite the cougars and all the road venison that you could slap between your sourdough, nothing changes. It was right around here last year that I crashed the bike I'm riding, sustaining a broken thumb, a mangled shoulder, a broken rib, and a greaser with a right side road rash requiring 6 months for the local dealer to fix. All thanks to a deer that ran out in front of me while I attempted to brake and avoid it and hit a patch of gravel. Talking of Darwin, it really makes me wonder why we ride on Vancouver Island. Surely in a few more generations, long-time resident riders of Vancouver Island will eschew the motorcycle for safer travel, as we motorcycle riding diehards, well, die hard, as it were. But I guess I'm a slow learner. I love motorcycles too much, and despite the frequent and obvious risk of a camouflaged, suicidal deer playing Russian roulette with me and my motorcycle, I continue to ride. This attack on me and my motorcycles is not confined only to my Gutsi. Just a few days ago, I have christened my latest bike, the W650, Lucky. If I had been riding my Z900 RS, it wouldn't have been so lucky. So, sit down, click the like button now, put your drink down safely away from your keyboard, and prepare yourselves. Let's play a game of Spot the Deer. You know it's coming. I didn't. Can you see it? Would you have stopped in time? What would you have done differently? Me? I made it. Dumb luck, really. That and the front brakes just don't work on the W650. They would have worked on the Z900 RS, but I probably would have been going faster. No, I definitely would have been going faster. Does that mean I would have missed the deer by going past before it chose to run out? Or would I have been there just a fraction ahead and slammed right into the deer? Or perhaps in my over-optimistic way, I think I would have slammed the brakes on, the ABS would have taken care of everything, and I would have got away scot-free because I had a better bike. Well, you decide. And without meaning to be disrespectful, but to quote the old great Clint Eastwood himself, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Woo, that was a close one. 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 They're always out there. Front brakes weren't going to do anything there.
Let me know in the comments below what you think. Cheers, Blue Marble Riders, and if you haven't already, hit that like button. And perhaps by the grace of God, I'll see you all next week. This is the Blue Marble Rider, out.
Yeah, that front brake is really terrible on that.